The session we'll be talking about is a lot Huuuge. I'm the CEO of Huuuge, and we have a multiplayer game. It's a real-time multiplayer approach, and Playtika, on the other hand, has a bit different type of approach on the market, and both of these approaches have been working very well. So that's an interesting cocktail for a conversation.
Yeah, I think Anton and I have started this tradition of the hottest and the latest in social casino during Casual Connect Tel Aviv, and we liked it. I hope the audience liked it as well. And yeah, I think we just, two different companies in the social casino space, Playtika, which has been around for a while, since 2010, and Huuuge, which is doing very well and kind of attract everyone's attention and recently entered late to the social casino space. I think it's very interesting to discuss some topics and see our different approaches on some of them. So I think the first one is really, like Anton mentioned, is how do both of the company approach live operations in their games? And live operations can be defined differently in different companies. Anton, do you want to say, like, what does it include in Huuuge?
Yeah, so live ops, I think it's a somewhat broad definition, so different companies have a different meaning. What is live ops? We see that when the product is good, when you have a good free-to-play product, the engagement campaigns, we call engagement campaigns live ops, that they have a pretty big impact and can boost your KPIs significantly. And we see that as a very important part of a business execution, and but at the same time it's very hard. So if you want to do that super well, you need to do that on a global scale, which adds a lot of challenges. So you have people from different countries who have different expectations, and how do you do all that? That's what we've been thinking at Huuuge quite a lot, and we are very happy that what we built, big part of that was also to build our backend and infrastructure to be able to do sophisticated live ops, and that's been now part of the reason why Huuuge has been growing so nicely and continues to do so.
Yeah, so I think at Playtika really we had years in advance to kind of explore and optimize. And I think we also have a lot of focus on live operations. And I also think that in the last years we've also kind of realized the importance of live ops also on a local level. So really everything that we've been doing for a while already, which is like specific CRM and getting decisions, making decisions based on a lot of data metrics, I think it's also important to do that on a local level, which means different segmentations per region, which means really different CRM per countries. You can't just offer a Christmas bonus for someone in Southeast Asia. So really, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and it's really hard to scale. But the importance of that and the way the players really appreciate what you do and the extra step that you take for them, by really, even if it's localizing the language or really treating their specific holiday, and making specific offering for that, is really appreciated by the players, and we see that. So yeah, I agree. This is a very important part. although it's really difficult to scale because it takes a lot of efforts.
Yeah, that's why. So if to talk about social casino and what are the key challenges for social casino in social casino for new startups, you need to do exactly this type of things besides doing the game.
Yeah.
The CRM, the BI systems, and yeah, that's combined with the distribution mechanics. Social casino is, of course, in that sense, a unique niche that unfortunately we don't get much support from the platform holders. So they are not heavily featuring social casino games. So social casino companies need to find alternative ways to do distribution, and often that means that companies need to excel on the paid UA and do quite a lot of marketing, and all these things combined make social casino pretty challenging space to enter for new startups.
And I wonder, Anton, like, how do you see the growth of social casino? Because I know everyone are talking about the regional expansion. What is your approach on really regional expansion and like new markets for this specific niche?
First of all, I think we need more players playing social casino games. So we at Huuuge, we are doing our best to redefine what is social casino, and I think there's plenty of room for innovation and thinking outside of the box. Yeah, we see that it's been working well for Huuuge. We've been innovating on the social layer, and when we've done that, we've been able to bring in younger audience to play social casino. So I think that's for the long-term growth of social casino. It is very important that we see more innovation and we see content and entertainment that attracts more broader audience than what is typically defined as a kind of core social casino segment.
I think that really the concept is that social casino is usually like older female demographic, and I think what you've managed to do is really, first of all, lower the age and change the gender a little bit. Correct?
Yeah, it's with the innovation we've done on the social gameplay and the real-time aspects that people are playing with people. We've managed to attract younger male players, and that's some people said earlier that it's impossible, that they are not interested in at all to play, and
slot machines,
we didn't believe on those people at that point, and we still work hard to prove them wrong.
Yeah. And really, I think that in Playtika's perspective, if you look at new markets, and obviously you always want to innovate and find new demographics, but in terms of new local demographics, I think that similar to the fact that social casino was actually, or casino games have been existed for hundreds of years now. I think that really the innovation will actually be returning to past games and to older games. I don't know if you know the example of Teen Patti, the Indian game who emerged all of a sudden, which is basically a game that has been played for hundreds of years in India and just came online. So I think that really the innovation, and I think that every country would probably, and we won't know it, but every country would probably have its own local games that people have been playing for years and is just waiting to make the transition to the online space. So I think that the expansion on this niche, on the broader social casino niche, is going to come from different local games in different countries. And the secret is knowing how to kind of identifying that in the right timing, obviously, not too late.
Yeah, that's also what I would like to see from other companies and startups, that they would make cool versions of some of these regional games. Like Teen Patti is a great example. I think Peak Games from Turkey, they've been...
Their Begaman game.
Yeah, they've been doing a bit work on that layer, but hopefully there's a lot more that type of stuff coming for the social casino.
Yeah. And I mean, that leads us to really kind of what are the challenges. If you're a developer and you really want to enter the social casino space and you may feel it's impossible now because most of the companies are dinosaurs now and really big, and it can be very hard. I think Huuuge is an example, first of all, that there's a lot of room for innovation, and if you're doing a good job, then you can still enter this market. And I think, at least from my perspective, and you'll say yours in a minute, is that really the challenge of big companies sometimes is the size of them. Right? Because the bigger you get, you need to move a little slower. And I think today, what can be very interesting is seeing new startups entering the social casino, but maybe focusing on a specific region. Because for a big company, it may be very difficult trying to enter India and Thailand and different regions, so in different countries. But if you're a small company and you're focusing your efforts on a specific market and excel in that, I think down the line in terms of M&As and things like that, it could be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's also a lot about not accepting the narrow definition what casino, social casino is. So some other good examples, I think, is the Jelly Button games with their Pirate Kings. So utilizing some of the social casino mechanics, but doing that in an innovative way. So I think that type of opportunities there definitely are for new startups. If to try to copy what Playtika has done and where Playtika has excelled, I wouldn't recommend to do that.
Yeah. And like, what do you see for someone who relatively entered the market late, not a hungry startup, but relatively late? What do you think are the challenges that someone who really wants to enter the market should expect?
Yeah, so for us, it's we didn't start from the scratch. So in that sense, I think Huuuge is quite unique story. For now, if you would start a startup, I think the challenge is that first you need to have the product, and then secondly you would probably need a publisher partner who would take care of all those other things that you need to do. And if you do a publisher partner, and if you don't control the data, if you don't own the players,
it's hard to grow.
It's hard to grow, and I think you don't get smarter as fast as if you do those yourself, which in the long run is a problem. So there's quite a lot of things a startup would need to do to be really good in social casino, and I think it's not for very small teams, and unless you do something very unique, and somehow solve the distribution problem, because the distribution challenge, if you do a game that has a slot game, the odds are that it's not being featured, and then you would need to have some alternative
scale up
solution for scaling the traffic.
Yeah, so I think think bottom line is really if you're a new startup and you would like to enter the social casino space, then a good approach would be really focusing on good product and potentially maybe focusing on a specific region. And then if you're there already, then talk to me. We may want to buy you.
Yeah, so absolutely. What do you think about the emerging markets then? Are there any specific emerging markets that you see or Playtika is super interesting?
Yeah, so obviously Southeast Asia is the obvious of everyone, although for social casino it kind of depends on the country. I think Latin America has a lot of potential, but it's a little bit down the line. So I think before we focus on this specific market, it doesn't monetize very well still. India is a huge market, but still the monetization is a little bit of an issue. So I think obviously all of us make our money in tier 1 countries still. But for the next years, I do think that more and more we'll be able to find the local products that will allow us to enter new regions, mainly through that.
Yeah, for Huuuge, we've now seen good traction coming from Japan. So still relatively early days for us, but yeah, we are definitely seeking growth beyond the tier 1 English-speaking countries,
and you localize.
Yes, yeah, it requires a lot of work, so it's not easy, and that's why we've been operating since 2014 when Huuuge was started, and already when we started the company, we were talking about these things. Only now it took quite a while to get there. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I think we've summarized kind of the latest topics that have been.
Time for questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anton, you said that you're trying to create new markets for social casino, like especially for younger demographics. Do you think, or what is the let me say, how much money can you do with these younger people? So actually, is for example, the RPU the same as for older people, or is it much more less? I mean, in terms of like cost structures and revenue and all the mechanics behind.
So we don't want to force all the players to have. People have different type of habits, or their comfort zone of paying X dollars per week or month can be very different, and I think if the product is well done, it allows people to have fun and kind of a great experience regardless whether they pay nothing or a lot. And yeah, so I think especially with these younger demographics, so we don't do that aggressive sales, and in order to be a good free-to-play product, I think it's very important, at least for us, that the product must and can be played, and it must be fun, even you wouldn't be paying at all. And so we don't think that way, that we would need to then brute force the younger demographic to spend some X RPU number, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I've got a question for Anton. You mentioned also that I think it's fairly interesting to see that you've been targeting a younger male audience, and you've mentioned that you've been doing some innovation on that part to reach them. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that? What kind of innovations did you do to actually reach this audience? Yeah,
so it's a real-time multiplayer what we've done. So and one of the unique features we brought first to social casino is a clan system. So we call them clubs, and these clubs are competing on Billionaires League. And so there's this type of social elements what where we've innovated and brought to the mix, and it is kind of a combination of this type of social elements that's been now attracting more wider audience than what the other games, or most of the games, have been able to do.
And do you think the competing factor of clans is one of the bigger reasons why a younger audience, especially male, is interested now as well? Or is it just the social thing of clans itself?
So yeah, I think for us, you know, competition is one of the motivators why people like to play the game. But for many, it's also cooperation. So I think it's at least when we've been designing the product, it's we were a bit concerned that okay, if it's is it too much of hardcore competition, and is it attractive for players who play our product? And that's why initially we didn't have a league system in these clubs. We brought it later on, and after we brought the leagues, it's been a good decision to have. So I don't think competition is one reason why some people like to play the game. It's definitely not the only motivator or reason.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I was kind of taking off on the earlier question. I heard innovation mentioned a few times in your conversation. What does innovation in social casinos mean to each of you?
For Huuuge,
from both viewpoints.
I think yeah, that's a good question as well. You know, is a feature innovation? I think for us it's a different type of mindset how we look at the category. So we don't put that first of all into kind of narrow definition that it would be a slots category. So we think that innovation on social casino can be blending in casual game to the mix. It could be bringing in this clan system, what we brought to the Huuuge Casino, a flagship game. So that's, I wouldn't like to say any one thing what the innovation means. At the end of the day, I think in order to call something innovative, you need to bring something new to the mix. It doesn't need to be completely groundbreaking that no one has ever done in any category, but it could be blending some nice elements from different genres, different categories, being the first one who brings them to social casino. I think that would earn you the right to say that, hey, it's an innovation on social casino.
Yeah. I agree. I think it doesn't have to be a completely different product. I think it could be a very interesting feature. I think it could be anything that brings new crowds to play, making the game more casual, less casual, depending on the crowd you're trying to attract. And really, again, like I mentioned before, like innovation could be traditional games that so far have only been played offline. Bringing them to the online space is innovative because it hasn't happened yet. So the category has a lot of room to grow, I feel, either in different products and different games. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question for Adi. So you mentioned that one of your approach would be to purchase the company that is doing great in some niche of the market. Do you consider buying huge games initially as well?
First of all, always yes, because I love Anton. So every acquisition starts with a personal relationship. So, yeah.
So you're bringing new people to the market. But what are you doing regarding retention? Like if we take a look at younger audiences coming in a market where older people play, the V did the same, Nintendo did the same. They brought a lot of casual players to the market, but they lost to the next generation. So are you thinking about how to keep the younger audience in your game so they don't get distracted with other platforms or?
So the question is about retention.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, we couldn't bring the younger audience in if they wouldn't stick with the product. So I think if you do free to play, this is a retention business. So you have to it's so expensive. The distribution costs too much. If you are not really focused on retention or engagement, so you want to engage the users as much as possible. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think the economics will work. And yeah, how then to keep people happy and coming back? Yeah, that's the secret sauce that I recommend all the free-to-play companies to be focusing and working on all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, you guys.